Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors. Today I'm going to be responding to the question, people talk about future goals and using those to help motivate them to recovery. What if you don't know what you want in the future? Well, if you think that you don't know what you want in the future, you're mistaken. You don't have to know what you want out of every year and month of your life, but chances are, if you give it a little bit of thought, you do actually know some of the things that you want for a future. Now, this doesn't mean that you have tons of goals and plans. It just means that, for the most part, you know what you don't want, and that's something that you have to remember. If you know what you don't want, you have it. You know what you want out of your future. If you know that you don't want to be depressed, you know what you want out of your future. If you know that you don't want to be sick, you know what you want out of your future. If you know that you don't want to be unhappy, then you know what you want out of your future. Sometimes we overanalyze and we just put too much thought almost into, planning and goals. And that's not something that you need to do in order to realize where you want to get to in your future. I talked a little bit about setting goals and making plans in my last video before this one, so I'm just going to copy and paste a couple of clips from that video because it's very, very relevant to this question. But I don't want anyone out there to think that they can't recover because they don't know what they want for their future. Do you know how many people out there don't know what they want to be or what they want to do or where they want to go or how they want to live? I mean, there are so many people that feel that way. Just because you're struggling with an eating disorder doesn't mean you're the only one. And you don't have to know every single direction your life is going to take. You just have to know what you don't want and how to get away from it. When you set goals and you make plans and they don't happen the way that you anticipate them to, it can actually hinder your recovery instead of help your recovery if you don't have the right mindset when you don't follow through with these things. Hopefully I'm making sense. So how do you do this? How do you set goals and make plans? I personally would make a list. I have a list of goals that are basically life goals, and everybody should have these sorts of goals, whether you write them down or don't write them down. It can even be a page that you keep separately in a journal that you already have, just to be able to tick things off as you do accomplish them. And to have a list that you can cross things off of that are big goals like that can give you such a sense of accomplishment, such a sense of self-confidence. And like I said before, don't give yourself a strict deadline. You can say, this is where I want to be in a year, and just kind of jot down where you want to be goal-wise and plan-wise. Don't say, I need to be here by my birthday in October. You don't want to give yourself a deadline like that. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to be disappointed, because a lot of the time we are trying to achieve things that are bigger than we are. And if you do that, if you give yourself a strict deadline, it's not like we're not journalists, we're not writing for a newspaper, we don't need a deadline like that. I mean, I know what you're saying. People use goals such as, I'd like to have children someday, to motivate them to recover. Or they talk about that they want to get their PhD, so they need to be healthy and well so that they can go through all those years of school, and that's a motivator. And that's very good, and lots of people do have goals like that, but you don't have to have a goal that structured in order to have enough motivation to recover. Trust me. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So that should be at least partial motivation to get you to a future that you can be proud of. If you don't have your health, you cannot do anything. You cannot even think of having a future worth doing things in. If you don't have your health, you can't get farther. You can't recover. You can't even think of a life full of activities and thoughts and dreams being fulfilled, because you won't have the one thing that can keep you going. So that should be your main motivation if you can absolutely not think of anything else to shoot for. Don't underestimate your own ability to make plans and to have goals for your future, because you can do it. It's easier than you think, and if you give it a little bit of thought, or even sometimes when you're not thinking about it and aren't apt to overanalyze, you can come up with some really important things to motivate yourself towards recovery. The number one thing you need to ask yourself really is, do you want a future? And as long as you want a future, you have a future to shoot for, and you can search for some motivation within that. If you were faced with one of those moments where your life flashes before your eyes when you're about to die, I think you would see in those few moments that you did want a future, and that you did in fact know what kind of future you want. Future can be abstract. It doesn't have to be something cut and dry. It doesn't have to be a list of plans. It doesn't have to be a list of things that you need to do, want to do, wish to accomplish. It's not something like that. You have to think of it in the correct terms, or you're not going to be able to be motivated. Hope you found this video helpful. It was more, inspirational than anything else. I'm sure I'm not saying anything new, but it is something that we need to remember. It's so easy to forget when talking about the future. It's so easy to forget how we can be motivated. So I hope you all have a great week and a great future.